Excluding those things that can endanger our lives, most of our fears are distorted. Our fears are based on realistic and unrealistic things. A realistic fear, for example, is being scared of crossing a busy road when the light is red, or being scared of a rattlesnake. These are realistic fears that are normal because they can lead to severe harm physically. But unrealistic fears, on the other hand, are pointless. They're based on our emotions, nothing more. An unrealistic fear, for instance, is being scared of performing in public because you're afraid of what people will think. Fear manifests itself in a variety of ways. We're all afraid of something. Some of us are terrified of the dark, others of the unknown, yet others of heights, and still others of making errors. The list goes on and on. Whatever the dread, our body's reactions are surprisingly identical. A shiver in the spine, planted feet, stiffened torso, eyes wide awake, a hollowness in the pit of the stomach, unconscious perspiration. But no matter the level of fear, they can be overcome. Yes, you can challenge your fear and come out the victor. Keep watching as we help you to overcome your fear, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get more helpful materials. Fear in our brain. When we get scared, can you guess why you can't suddenly move or why you can't think of the next thing to do because of fear? The explanation for this has to do with how our brains function. The amygdala is a component of the brain that alerts the body when a threat is present. Our brain is a very important part of our body, and it's also the organ that's in charge of impulses and the reactions we make when faced with a situation. Think of the brain as a remote control of our body and emotions. Anxiety and tension are caused by this communication from our brains to the body as a response to perceived threats. The problem is that our brains train the amygdala. Many of us have spent years conditioning our minds to fear certain things. What is critical to realize is that the amygdala is activated by our perceptions of the circumstance, not the actuality of it. This indicates that our brains respond to worries, whether genuine or imagined. Our bodies are unable to distinguish between the two. When we're in fear mode, whether we're responding to the possibility of being struck by a car or asking someone out on a date, the stress hormone cortisol is released. This hormone causes our thoughts and bodies to be in high alert. If this state becomes habitual for us, it can lead to serious health issues. How exactly do you challenge your fears? In order to overcome your fears, you have to first acknowledge these fears. Stare at yourself naked in front of a mirror if you have to, and list out all your fears. That's the first step to overcoming your fears. Let's take a look at some steps you should take first in overcoming your fears. 1. Identify your fears. Yes, take a look at yourself and identify what scares you the most. Is it snakes? Fear of making public speeches? It might even be something as simple as failing a test or being rejected, but no matter the fear, you have to identify each of them. Write them down. That's the first step. Simply naming your fear will begin to shrink it. You may then begin building a new relationship. 2. Listen to your fears. This sounds silly, but think of your fears as a balloon. The more you pump in the air into a balloon, the bigger it grows, right? The same thing to our fears. The more we ignore our fears, the more they grow. Have you ever thought of listening to what your fears have to say about you? There's always a story behind fear, and when we listen and understand that story, our fear actually reduces. It softens. The only way to really transform a story that continues activating our fight-flight-freeze reaction is to become acquainted with the light that is causing our dread. 3. Understanding. Investigate it further now that you've given your fear permission to disclose what's going on in your subconscious mind. Where in your body do you feel the tension? What is the underlying emotion? What's the worst that might happen if your envisioned reality came true? Make your requests as precise as possible. What will happen if you fail an exam or miss an interview due to lateness? Ask yourself these questions and answer them yourselves. 4. Challenge your fear. You now know what causes fear. You can master it and control it. Regain control of your decision-making process. You are no longer under the influence of fear. It provided you with useful information. There was a tale you'd made based on your life experiences, and it revealed more about who you are and your strengths and limitations. Only you can decide whether this narrative is valuable enough to continue or if you want to change it. Challenge that monster called fear. You can now identify your fears, but you also need the necessary weapons to be able to overcome your fear and we're here to give them to you. 1. View your fears as opportunities. You will feel much more empowered if you embrace your fears as chances for personal progress. Don't think of them as something you should have a heart attack over. Look at it as an opportunity to grow and become better. 2. Go beyond your comfort zone. One thing that nurtures and creates fear is fear of the unknown. Being stuck in your comfort zone and scared of the deep waters is no way to live. Leave your comfort zone, face the unknown, learn from your mistakes, and be a better version of yourself. Push yourself to the limit. Begin to challenge them and punch holes in the reasoning that holds them afloat. Make yourself uncomfortable, and personal development and self-confidence will undoubtedly follow. 3. Experiment with new things. Take a step closer to self-growth. Do something new without caring about what people's opinions will be. If you want to learn the guitar, do it. If you want to learn to cook, do it. It takes guts to attempt new things, so start slowly. You may fail every time you attempt anything new, but as long as you learn from your mistakes, you will eventually become a better version of yourself. 4. Who are you? If you can answer this question with confidence, then you can easily identify your fears and work on them. Sometimes it's not people that keep us from confronting our anxieties. It's our own self-limiting mindset. We may have acquired ideas about ourselves along the road that feel genuine but are not necessarily true. 5. Seek help. You don't need to visit a therapist before you find a way to overcome your fears. Sometimes all you might need is just someone to listen to you. Find someone to talk to. Reach out to friends and family for help if you're going through a difficult period. Talking about your worries with someone you trust and who understands you is one of the most effective methods to face them and overcome them. After all, there's no better way to overcome fear than to confront it head-on. 6. Mental and physical preparation. When confronting your fears, it helps to be mentally and physically prepared. First, try meditating or envisioning yourself doing whatever activity causes you to be afraid. It may take some time for your mind and body to catch up, so don't be discouraged if it feels awkward at first. 7. Think before you act. Fear and anxiety are our mind's way of alerting us to possible risks in our surroundings. When confronted with a life-threatening circumstance, our fight or flight reflex kicks in, causing us to respond without thinking. Our sympathetic nervous system takes over. When you're scared, try to think of a rational way out of the situation. This may be hard, but it's the best option to avoid regretting our reckless actions in the face of fear. 8. Go with the flow. This is harder than it seems, but if you keep doing what you fear, eventually you don't even notice your fear again. The sensation of satisfaction and adrenaline you will experience after mastering your fear will provide you with an amazing sense of empowerment. This will make it much simpler for you to confront your concerns in the future. Fear is a very normal thing in every person. What differs is what we're all scared of. It's also important to develop relaxation techniques that you can employ when your anxiety levels rise. Try easy breathing exercises that focus on the flow of your breath. Finally, conquering anxieties requires consistent practice, one step at a time. Simply confronting your worries might boost your confidence.